Hey, Senda.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, do you want to get together and we'll play some role-playing games face-to-face?
Whoa, dude. No.
Oh,
I don't
social
know.
distancing.
You could be infected. I could be infected. Like, come on, man.
Of course, you're right. You know what we should do instead is probably play a game online. Senda, would you like to play a game online?
Heck yes.
And welcome to another episode of Panda's Talking Games. I'm Phil, who's locked in my house like a bunker.
And I'm Senda, who's feeling pretty good about the last 8 days that I've spent in my house.
I feel like that meme about introverts told to stay at home and then they start playing the
Like,
In the Air Tonight.
Yes,
I've been waiting for this my whole life.
Calling in the air tonight.
Yeah, I mean, listen up, folks.
Whoa.
Having to stay in my house and like play video games and watch TV and shit.
Oh man, it's horrible. I finished my book today.
I'm an 80s latchkey kid. Mm-hmm. Like, I trained my whole childhood for this nonsense. Like, I am prepared. And I have tools I never even had in the 80s.
I know we
I
can
have
actually
internet.
Still like have conversations with people when we want to.
I can still see people's. Anyway.
Yeah.
Tonight.
But it requires them to set a time and get permission to call.
Yeah.
Which is like introvert dream.
So tonight we are going to talk about what is most current, which is COVID-19. And not that our episode's about COVID-19, because there are many better places you should get your COVID-19 information from.
Very, very much so.
But what we are going to talk about is kind of how it's affected us. And on top of that, how really what we're going to talk about, our gaming topic for tonight is we're going to talk about how to transition your face-to-face group into an online group. So for people who are playing online, you're going to be like, psh, I know all this already. But there's a lot of people who still play role-playing games face-to-face.
Because it's great.
Yeah, well, because it's, it's how many of us came up in the hobby.
Yep.
I did, right? And, and it's a social activity and those are all great. But right now, that's not a thing that we really can afford to do. So how do you transition a already existing tabletop game into a digital game? And what are some tips for running your best digital game possible? So with those three topics, how we're doing, how to transition to online, and then some just general tips. And our general tips will be pretty light because, or I should say light and fast, because those are things that we have talked about before. And those are probably our tips aren't going to be anything that other experienced online players aren't going to tell you as well. So really the meat of this is how to make the transition.
Yes. And also we're going to try and make this one kind of quick to make sure my voice lasts all the way through.
Yes, because you have a cold.
I have not COVID, a different.
Correct. You have generic head cold.
Generic head cold.
Cool. So let's back up. Last week was a different week, right? When we recorded last Monday, like the world was fundamentally different. I mean, all joking aside, right? I mean, like Monday started like pretty. I've been still pretty concerned, but by the end of last week, a whole lot of things happened. Kids out of school and
see, you're saying last Monday, but last Monday was my child's first day from home. Like all of this stuff. Actually, the week before for me is when all of this hit. I haven't been to work in 8 days. I haven't been in my physical office in 8 days.
All right. So to be clear, I don't think I have a good sense of time right now.
That's fair.
All right. So first of all, you're home. I'm home.
Yep.
Right.
Everybody's home.
Both of us are, I wanted to say healthy, but you're not.
I'm not, but I don't
you are COVID free.
The COVID. I can tell because my nose won't stop dripping and I don't have a fever.
Correct. So and I am healthy, right? I am fine. I am not presenting any signs, nor do I feel under the weather or anything. But we are home. Kiddos are out of school.
Yep.
And I'm, transitioned to working from home. I scooped up my laptop and some gear from work, and have shoehorned it into my home office desk so that I can actually work using my two 24-inch monitors. And I'm conducting a lot of meetings through Teams, which is something that my company's used to doing anyway. So that wasn't really a big transition for us. And my company has always been prepared to work from home, primarily for the fact that we live in Buffalo and it, sometimes snows.
Snows a lot.
So everybody in my company is pretty much set up to work from home, with the exception of the handful of guys who have to actually go in and touch computer stuff, like touch the actual servers and stuff. But there's only like 4 of those guys.
Yeah.
The rest of us can actually do everything we need to from home, and we've had to do it from time to time when the weather's come up. So my work part is actually kind of okay. Like, in terms of being set up to work from home, I work for the State University of New York, and if you're following any news, and you may not be if you're on the national level, but the governor directed the State University of New York to move all of its classes to online learning for the rest of the semester, which has put a incredible strain on me as we're kind of ramping up to prepare for what could be an unprecedented amount of online learning going through our network and stuff. So I've been crushed, for a lack of a better term, at work for a couple weeks now, right? I am I get through my work day. I pass out for an hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes, wake up and just, try to do some stuff in the evening and then pass back out. It's pretty grueling, and it'll probably be like this for a few more weeks for me. How about you?
Well, I have a stupid cold that my son gave me.
What? That cold might have been your best friend. You had to stay home with him from school.
I know.
And you had to stay home yourself.
Right.
Keeping you out of the office space. You actually work in a shared office space.
Yeah, and it was starting to make me quite nervous.
Yeah. So you think your son might have done you a favor?
Yeah, I wasn't super sad about it, but I am sad that like my left ear and I are still not on complete speaking terms, Yeah. And obviously my voice is kind of shot, which is also the key that tells you that I'm starting to feel better, right? Because that's how you know when I start losing my voice, I'm almost over it.
We've nearly done 200 episodes of this show.
It's happened before.
It's happened before.
Yeah. So that was my thing. Fortunately, my company is also super set up to work remotely, and there really isn't anything that we have to be in the office for. So we just shifted all of our meetings to being in Google Meets, which many of them already were because we have some people who work remotely all the time. And our CEO is in London because he didn't have his visa sorted out yet. And they put in the new travel bans, and he had to get home and he had to book a flight from Denver to London in 24 hours and get back there. So it's been a little interesting. And then so I work in the events industry, and gosh, no gatherings larger than 10 people. So as you might imagine, many things are canceled or postponed. Many. So while you have been going absolutely wild with your hair on fire, I have been finding less and less stuff to do despite my best efforts. I've been doing stuff as far ahead as I can. But we're starting to get to the point where it's this says it's going to be in I hit one today that was this says it's happening on March 25th. I don't believe that this is happening on March 25th. Do you really want me to invest time on this thing where people think that they're going to be having a conference on March 25th?
And let's be honest, depending on the state, it may not even be legal.
Right, exactly. I don't think this is happening, but okay. So that's been interesting. But so my days are getting calmer and calmer to a point of a little bit of concern. It's good. We have some time to sort things out and fix stuff moving forward and, make some processes and stuff that we didn't have in place before. And hopefully we take advantage of that. But it's also kind of concerning because it means we're just not doing anything during our normal busy season right now. There's nothing happening.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So yeah.
Anyway, so my workday experience is complete opposite of yours, which is that I'm like there and available for the whole workday time, and I'm on all the calls, and I'm actively participating in all the calls, and then I sit there and then I like poke at the tickets like morosely for a couple of hours, and then I like look at other things, then I check back, and then like
yeah, I almost don't like talking to anyone right now about work because
everyone else is dying and you're getting drowned.
We started up a Minecraft server and everybody's been like logging time, and I'm like, I got like 30 minutes for lunch the other day, right? Like the other day I got 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I did. I had 7 hours of meetings. I had 5 minutes to make myself lunch. I made myself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and potato chips, and like I ate like a second grader in the middle of, between meetings, or not even between meetings. I got to my next meeting with my sandwich.
Yes. And ate through your next meeting. Yeah.
And so did everyone else, because they were also in the previous meeting. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's switch topics.
Good. Yes.
Let's talk about transitioning. And I'm going to do a little more talking tonight than you.
That's fine. That's fine.
Because your voice is strained, mine is not. So I will.
That's cool.
So if people are like, boy, Phil talked a lot in this episode, it's because I'm being
chivalrous.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
I will do an extra lift on this.
I appreciate you.
Cool. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my own experience, and then I'll have you chime in. Since we're doing this without a script, hold up your finger when you're ready to chime in.
Okay. I do have a couple of points because I have played a bunch of games online, and I am currently in the process of transitioning my real life face-to-face game group to online also. So
yeah, absolutely. All right. So here's the deal. I have 3 game groups. So last week, the week before, something like that, whatever, I had started taking this a little more seriously, and I had I had told everybody in all my game groups, you can only come over if you're 100%, right? I didn't want anyone coming over. This is before we got into, staying at home and stuff like that. But I was just starting to tell people, like, no showing up to the game, feeling a little under the weather, no showing up to the game with a little bit of a cold. That has been done before without any real consequence, but people have come over like, oh, I'm getting over a cold, whatever. So I just started doing that. And then we actually canceled my game last Sunday because one of the players had a fever. Turned out it was, I think, strep. So it was also not COVID related. But, they were like, I don't know what it is. I have a slight fever. I don't want to come over. And I was like, yeah, I don't want you to come over. I love you, but also correct. Yeah, and so we canceled that game because I was like kind of I was exhausted from work for the week, and I was just like, I took the easy button on that. And then we moved to like, everybody stay home, don't interact.
Yeah.
No unnecessary social contact, social distancing. Now, my game room is not a place of social distancing.
No.
Right? My game room is small, it's confined, and when we're all sitting around the table, like, we are literally face to face, right? Like, if somebody coughs, all of us get it.
Yes.
So very quickly, I was like, okay, we need to move I need to move all 3 of my games into a online format, even though everybody is local. So the first thing I did, and not that this is a thing that people have to do, because there are free alternatives to this, but I went and just got a monthly subscription to Zoom.
Yeah.
It's $15 a month for the basic tier. And what I like about it is that there's you can run up to 24 hours. The free version of Zoom limits you to 40 minutes. And I can have like up to 100 guests. 24 hours and 100 people is not what I need for a role-playing game, but I really needed more than 40 minutes, right? So
yeah, 40 minutes is too short.
Yeah, so I went with Zoom.
So we're sticking with Hangouts for the moment.
Yeah, so Hangouts is a perfectly viable platform. It is at some point going to be deprecated by Google, probably in favor of something else that will come along, but you have a number of different other options too, right? There's Discord, there's Hangouts.
You could do Skype.
You could do Skype. You can do free Microsoft Teams.
My preference is always going to be for a system that has a video option.
Yeah, also a reason I got Zoom, right? Also a reason I got Zoom.
Yeah.
There's a Streamlabs, I think is one of them.
Right.
Even though it's primarily made for streaming, it still totally works.
Yep.
So there are options. I agree with your recommendation. I like video. I like video because I think it helps with connectivity.
It helps with connectivity, and it means that it's actually really interesting. We've talked a lot about body language stuff on this podcast and picking up people's body language. It's, for me, extremely difficult to run a game for people that I can't see because I lose all of that information. I actually don't understand what's going on, if they're involved, if they're paying attention, if they're enjoying it, all of those things, right? If I need to take a different path. Without video, I literally am just like running in the dark. I have no idea. So it's totally possible to run a very good game without video. I find it, especially as an improv GM, to be extremely difficult personally.
Yep. All right, so let's talk about, again, so some of this we're going to talk about in terms of economic privilege, right? Because being able to have a video platform for a game means a couple things, right? So it means that you have a decent amount of internet.
Yep.
It means that you have some sort of video camera and microphone that could just be on your laptop, your iPad, your phone, whatever.
Yep.
And you have some sort of platform by which to do it. So there are some ways to do this cheaply, and there are ways that you could spend more money on this.
Yep.
So I just want people to keep that in mind. I don't want to be like sitting around like, well, as I sit on my pile of money and run all my games, right? Like you can totally do this inexpensively if you piece your way through it, right? Internet's going to be probably the hardest one, but I'm going to say that if you're listening to us, my guess is you probably have internet. But if you don't, that is a thing that you will have to secure is reasonable internet. Reasonable for audio, slightly better than reasonable for video.
For video, yeah. And video really does help. So it's worth it if you can get it.
If you got a PC, getting webcam, right? A lot of people have webcams already, but you could get a webcam off of Amazon. They range from relatively inexpensive to ridiculous. The relatively inexpensive ones work fine. I have a couple, like I have one or two left over from work, but I bought one. I bought one last year, I think like a $50 Logitech one that I just bought because it was the one we used. It was the same model we used to record the show on before we got a much better camera.
The Mistricted one.
And that was a pretty okay, I think it's like a 720p.
Yeah.
So it's pretty decent. You're going to need some sort of microphone, headphone kind of thing. We are podcasters, mics and earbuds and headsets and things like that are things that we have in abundance. But for my online game, I'm not going to use my studio mic setup. I'm actually going to use my Logitech headset. I have a wired Logitech. I think it's the G24. It was only like $20, right? It was not expensive, but it's cushioned over the ear headset with a boom mic. And what I really like about it is a couple things. One, it's wired, so I don't have to worry about batteries dying in the middle of a game. It has inline mute. We're going to talk about that under tips, right? Inline mute. Mm-hmm. I can mute myself if need be very easily without having to click the software. I can there's a little thing that I actually clip to myself and I can just flick the little button and I'm muted, flick the little button, I'm unmuted. But what I really like is that headset was relatively inexpensive, but they're cushioned. Like I can leave that headset on for hours.
I'm really glad that's true for you. My glasses are big and thick and plasticky, so I have not found a headset that I can do that with because it pushes the tops of, no matter how big and cushy they are, it pushes the tops of my ears over the plastic of my glasses where it's super thick there, and then eventually they just start hurting. But anyway, that's all kind of moot. It's cool if you can get all the equipment, but really all you need is some kind of set of headphones just so you're not making an echo. And like the mic in your computer is fine.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you have to do anything special unless you want to.
Your $10 Skull Candy earbuds plugged into your laptop will pull this off.
Absolutely, no problems.
Correct. If you're thinking about, doing this a little bit more or, doing this for a little bit longer, again, that Logitech headset reasonably priced. There are much more expensive headsets, like pro video gamer headsets are ridiculously expensive. I got this one very, very cheap because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. But in the end, I love that headset. And you have talked to me on you have talked to me on Mumble and stuff before. The quality of it's perfectly fine, right, for conversation.
Yeah. In the end, it didn't even matter.
Yeah, it's not record quality. Okay.
I cracked myself
don't even.
up.
That's that's your game groups. Okay.
They're listening. They'll get it. It's funny.
All right, let's talk about more. Let's talk about more conversion stuff while you take a sip of tea and rest your voice.
I don't have any more tea left.
Okay.
I'm a sad panda.
So the next thing you're going to need to do is convert any of your physical assets over to digital. Now, for instance, I generally collect all the character sheets at the end of a game and put them in a file, and put them in a filing cabinet, because I've had way too many times in the past where people forget their character sheets. So I'm the keeper of the character sheets. That is a problem right now because I have all the character sheets.
Everybody's character sheets. Oh no.
Right. So so what I need to do is actually get digital copies of their character sheets over to them so they can retranscribe them. And for this, we're not going to get terribly fancy. I have a phone
with a camera.
I can take pictures, but what I will probably do, just because they come out a little clearer, is I will use an app called Office Lens, which is made by Microsoft, and part of it is a digital scanner. So I can actually scan, and it will actually do high contrast black and white. Yeah, to make them very readable.
I use Scannable, and it does the exact same thing. That's literally all that it does.
Yeah, so nothing fancy here. I'm just going to take my phone, put character sheets on the table,
click,
scan them in, and
quote,
probably put them up to Google Drive.
Quote, scan.
Yeah, I'll put them up on Google Drive, and then people can get them, right? I highly recommend Google Drive, right? Some sort of shared storage platform. I'm not supporting Dropbox right now. Their model is
expensive,
getting clunky and greedy.
Yeah.
Where Google's is abundant and pretty ubiquitous. So I like Google Drive for this kind of stuff. The other thing that I need to do, so I have two specific needs for two different games. So the first one is for DCC, we're doing a dungeon crawl. And I have been using my whiteboard to draw very poorly drawn maps.
Oh, no.
On the whiteboard.
Yeah.
So that's not going to be possible.
No.
So what I tinkered with a little and not nearly enough before my game tomorrow is actually Roll20.
Yeah, no, Roll20 is actually great. I have played there a lot. Not in a little while, because a lot of the games that I'm playing nowadays don't require any sort of mapping component, so it's a little bit overkill. But I did used to, I actually ran my last campaign that was a true campaign. I ran in Roll20 when everybody was still scattered across the country. So I'm a fan of Roll20. There's a couple of other options running around out there now, and what I'm going to do is probably just link to the article that Ange wrote for Gnome Stew, which actually dropped today, Wednesday. But I'll put a link in the show notes. It has a bunch of options listed because there are several other competitors at this point, and kind of go for whatever makes you happy. But Roll20 is great. It's free to get a basic account, and it does all the things that you need. And it has a lot of character sheets and stuff built in, and play sets for things like For the Queen, and it's great.
Yeah, I'm actually going to use it pretty primitively. I took an image of the map for the dungeon that we're crawling through, and I'm just going to use, I inserted it into the game and did the Fog of War.
Yep.
So I can just uncover it like one
chunks
room at a time.
Yeah, that's exactly what that's for.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not doing I don't have fancy tiles. I literally screen capped the page from the module.
Yeah.
And just put it in there.
No, that's perfect. It's all.
And I'm not doing tokens or anything like that, largely because these guys are all first leveled, so they all have 3 characters each.
That's a lot.
We're still doing theater of the mind, but it will help me to be able to describe rooms if I can just show them the shape of the room.
Right. And be able to say there's a door here and a door here. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The other need I have is actually, which may be going to Roll24 as well, is my Forbidden Lands game. Forbidden Lands has the overland map.
Yeah. Yep.
For going places and doing things. And that's on the table when we play, and I have a little meeple that the players move around from hex to hex to kind of show where they are, which I won't, I can't do that. I can't even roll that. I'm going to run this at my desk. I don't even have room on my desk to put out the whole map. Now, for my upcoming adventure or two, they're doing stuff at their stronghold, so I don't really have to worry about this yet. But I do have to, over the next couple of weeks, start to figure out how to, I need to see if I can find a digital image of that map that I could then put into Roll20, and either zoom in or something so that we can kind of see, where they're going.
Well, no, but you should be able to do that because you can also, honestly, managing tokens in Roll20 is really easy. So you can just mark a token and move it around.
I just got to get the map in.
Yeah, that's the part I can't help you with.
I may tweet Free League and see if they have a digital asset that they could, in time of lockdown, it would be super helpful if I could get this into
Roll20 so I could keep playing my game.
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. I'm gonna tweet them tonight, I think, before I go to bed, and see if they can help. Okay, so things we're talking about for converting, right? So we're talking about converting physical assets into digital assets. If your game needs it, I play many games. I do not need anything else but Zoom, for instance, to play a number of other games that I run. I can play most of my PBTA games just by speaking them.
Right. I'm not expecting to need a Roll20 or anything like that. Actually, with my group as we move online. We're just going to connect over video.
So again, you're going to have to look at your game and kind of pick, do you need assets? Do you have static assets, in which case having a picture and putting it up in Google Drive is good enough? Or do you have something, that you need to interact with? And then do you need something like a tabletop? This last one's pretty easy. The last one is dice. You have a game, it has dice. When we play at a table, we roll dice, on the table. What are you going to do for your dice rolling? So you have a couple options, right? The first one is don't do anything. Let people roll their dice at their desk and just tell you what they got, right?
Yep.
That totally works.
Yes.
I've been playing with my friend. I mean, these are my friends. This is my, home groups, right? I've been playing with these people for a long time. If they tell me they rolled or whatever, then that's what they rolled, right? I'm not one to check them. All right. So next up, one tier up from that, if you are playing with a virtual tabletop like Roll20 or any of the other ones, those have dice rollers built in. There's a little bit of a learning curve to learn the syntax for how to do the roll, but you can. The last one, which I will highly recommend because I have used it.
It's very good. Yeah.
In online games is Roll for Your Party. Mm-hmm. I believe that's the link. Roll for Your Party is fantastic. It is, I'm going to be honest, it's not much to look at in terms of UI, but its functionality is exceptional. It does dice, it does tokens, it does force points, it does DCC dice. I challenge you to find a game that platform, I say that, but somebody's going to be like, I got one. No. What I'm saying is
it supports a lot.
You'll be hard pressed to find a game that you can't play through Roll for Your Party. And while I tease it about its pretty stark UI, its functionality of what it can do is pretty exceptional. So I highly recommend it. If you need something online for dice rolling, that's the thing I would recommend. And it's cool. You log into it and it comes up with a unique URL, and then you give the URL to the rest of your players, and you are all using that instance.
Yeah. So
and the URLs have fun names because they're all word based. So it's it's like slimy monkey and things like that. And you can just keep using it, because if you just keep using the same URL, your group can keep coming to it over and over. Highly recommend.
There's also always dice roller apps for your phone, right? And many of them are free too.
Sure, but if you got your phone and you're home, you probably have
your dice, so you might as well just roll your real dice because it's fun. But I thought I would throw it out there.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about safety.
Yeah, let's talk about safety. So the thing about safety that's drastically different when you're in an online game versus an in-person game is actually just your visibility to other people, right? So you can't just put something in the middle of the table and be like, here, touch this if you need to. Right.
Correct.
You have to adjust for that a little bit. So there's many ways that this can be done. I will say that the two standard things that I tend to do in my online games is that we have you can hold up your arms or your fingers in an X right? And you may have to say it too, because if you're in like Google Hangouts or something and you're one of the tiny little videos, people may not see it. So sometimes you have to be correct. Like X, right? And you can do the gesture catches attention. You may have to say it also, right? Because again, it's just a visibility thing.
Yep.
So that's in terms of implementing an X card. That's how I have done it. I also really like things that are gesture based. So I find that the OK check-in translates super duper well to online play, right? Because the same thing, it's a gesture that you can do in the space that is visible. And again, if you are not the person talking or specifically looking, like if you're not specifically calling a check-in, somebody may still have to do a verbal call out that a thing is happening, because if you're teeny tiny at the bottom, again, it's an issue. But there's also sometimes, depending on what system you're using, you have the chat that's going by on the side that you can have simultaneous to the video. So it's also possible to do things like type an X in there, or like type responses in there, all of that kind of stuff, so that you don't do the interrupting part. We talk a lot about in safety about how sometimes having to interrupt the game to advocate for yourself will prevent people from advocating for themselves in that situation. So basically, think about it, talk about it with your group, negotiate what's going to work for you so that everybody feels comfortable that they could engage whatever safety tools you're going to use. What do you think, Phil? Did I get it all?
Two things.
Two more things, huh?
First of all, OK check-in.
I know. OK check-in is great online. I've been using it online a lot.
OK check-in is a hand gesture that we came up with for Turning Point. I think we have the image of it. Can we just put it in with the notes for this?
I just need to put it somewhere where I can make a URL for it. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, we didn't come up with it.
It's our adapted method from the traditional LARP practice
adaptation.
But I think it works really well online, because even in my little video,
you can still see it.
Are you okay? Thumbs up, thumbs down, right? Those gestures work really well. The other thing I will say is Roll for Your Party has an X card.
Ooh.
And a player can hit the X card button, and it will put an X card out on the screen for everyone to see.
So what happens when you actually click the X? Like, does it?
I think it puts something up on the screen.
Do something cool? I want to know now.
It puts a pop-up that says someone played the X card.
Okay.
And it even gives you a text thing where it says, if you would like, you can say why.
Oh, so you can put it in there.
You can put it in there.
You don't have to.
Right, but you don't have to put it in there. And because and all it said was someone.
Yep.
So Roll for Your Party again.
Very good tool. Very good tool.
Such a good platform.
Okay, hopefully we've given these good people some good advice about transitioning. But we got to get out of here.
All right. So last thing, let's just run through some of our favorite tips for online play, and then we'll wrap this thing up. I'm just going to blast out a few of them, right?
Okay.
Good mic etiquette. Use your mute button when you need to. If you want to mow through some chips while you're playing, mute your mic. If you have to cough for any reason, especially right now as we're in the middle of this, if you need to cough, you can either try to cover your mic, but usually that sounds funny, just quick mute, quick unmute. My next tip is if you're transitioning, it's going to be bumpy the first couple episodes. If you are not practiced at playing online, the switch from physical to online is different. Conversations don't work quite the same way. If you do this for work and you have online conversations, conversations are less organic and they are much more each person takes a turn kind of thing. So be aware of that. So your conversation is going to be a little different. The other thing I'm going to say is get yourself a comfy rig. Don't try to sit hunched over your small screen laptop unless, you have no other choice. But
you say that, but...
No, but I'm saying you should find a way to be comfortable. If you're playing 3 to 4 hours, think about where you're sitting. Think about the materials you need. I'm going to do my gaming from my desk in my office because I want both my screens so that I can put Zoom up on a screen, and then I can put OneNote and all my other stuff on another screen. But more importantly, I'm in my comfy chair. right? I have my good chair. I'm going to have table space for water and to do writing and things like that. If I had to come down here to the basement, like I'm recording to you on a Mac Air right now, I got to try to run this whole gig on 13 inches of screen space. It's not going to work well for me. So think of your ergonomics. Lastly, my last tip, you're playing online. The same thing holds true online as it holds true for a physical game. Take breaks.
Yes.
Get up, walk around for a second, go to the bathroom,
grab
get
a snack,
water,
drink
grab
water.
a snack. Yeah, don't just you're not this isn't your 4-hour like Minecraft session. Like just like get up, let the blood flow a little. Okay. Those are my 3 quick tips for playing online. What do you got? Because you're the pro.
I think you pretty much said everything. I think the one thing that I'll just add is like, this is just a thing to know about playing over the internet. Inevitably, sometimes there's going to be audio and video glitches and whatever. Like, it's fine. Just roll with it. Hope it gets better. If it doesn't, maybe try again later, right? And then the other thing that I will say, and this is just a true fact about running games online and playing games online, mostly running them, it just takes more energy output to do it, right? Because the translation through the internet is going to eat some percentage of what you're putting out when you're running a game. So just know if you are like really tired, really stressed out, not feeling well, whatever, it will have an exponentially higher effect on your enjoyment and potentially your players' enjoyment of the game because it just takes more emotional output in my experience, right? So when all else fails, just say, you know what, maybe not tonight and try again later. It's fine.
Or play a shorter session.
Play a shorter session or play something else or just chill and relax and chat because social interaction is still good whether you play or not.
Yeah, even if that means that your 3-hour game is going to become an hour and a half of play and an hour and a half of hanging out.
That's fine.
That's still legit. As much as playing the game is important, a lot of the things that we get as a benefit from playing role-playing games is social interaction and contact. For a lot of us, especially introverts like me, I don't have 10 different ways to interact with people. I have one way that I'm really comfortable with, which is role-playing. And giving up role-playing during times like these is actually very detrimental for somebody like me. So it's important to actually have that avenue and still do it, even if it's going to be different, even if the experience isn't going to be as good as my face-to-face game. A game with people that you enjoy playing with is still better than no game.
Agree.
And for your own mental health, for your own self-care in the place that we're at right now, and we're going to be like this for a while longer, you got to take care of yourself. Like not only physically, right? Like we're staying home because that's what we're saying, staying home and exercising, social distancing, because that's the thing we're doing physically for everybody's health. But we also have to do stuff for our mental health. And if your main avenue is playing role-playing games, make the transition.
Yeah. Don't let it just go.
And if your group falls apart and you need a place to go, I'm just going to send you where I always send people when they say they want to play online games. Go to the Gauntlet.
Yep.
Sign up for the Gauntlet. They're fantastic. They're amazing people, play amazing games. Hopefully you can find a game. And if you are a Misdirected Mark patron, which is also a hint that we're going to segue into the end of the show. If you're a Misdirected Mark patron, go to the Slack channel and put out a call. Say you're looking for players. I know some people are looking for players right now, especially people who have some more free time. There are peeps I know who have either had their hours reduced or have been laid off and things like that. And, they have time to game.
Yep. And they should, because it's awesome.
Yeah. So, use your communities. And for us, that's for some of us, that's the Misdirected Mark Slack community. So that may be another reason you may want to join as a patron is to just, come be part of our community. Cool. With that, we're going to transition over to the end of the show. I'm just going to say before we go that everybody take care, be safe, wash your hands, practice social distancing, and exercise self-care.
And don't touch your face.
Your mental health. Don't touch your face, but your mental health is as important as your physical health.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're taking care of yourself in all ways possible. And before we head into the closing of the show, Senda's going to tell us about another show on the Misdirected Mark Network.
Yeah, She's a Super Geek is an Emmy-nominated actual play RPG podcast highlighting women as GMs, and you can join me and Andy every other Tuesday, except for this last Tuesday, when, due to all of this, we completely fell apart and failed to record the thing we wanted to record. But other than that, like clockwork, every other Tuesday for a different adventure every single time.
Indeed, indeed. Say, Senda, where do people find us on the internet?
Well, you can find us on Twitter at Pandas Talk Games. You can find us on the Misdirected Mark forums. You can find us by email, panda@misdirectedmark.com. And Phil, once they have that information, what can they do with it?
You can leave us a topic. We really like to do the show about things that you're interested in. So leave us a topic, just question, a thing you want to hear us talk about, whatever. I'll come up with a way to make a show out of it. Don't you worry. It'll be fine. So do that. And if you like what we do here elsewhere on the Misdirected Mark Network, please consider supporting our Patreon campaign. The Patreon is how all of this goes. It helps us with everything from equipment to hosting to the hosts themselves. It means the world to us that you have that you show your support. It also has some benefits, right? So, for instance, the biggest one right now, I think, would be the Slack Room for Life. Come join the Slack Room for Life. We have so many positive people there. We even opened up a COVID-19 channel, which I now know, by the way, other groups have adopted since, because they overlap with ours and started spreading it.
Yep. So just to have a place to share information. And
we do. We have a place.
Yeah.
Exactly. We have a COVID-19 channel where you can come and get support or find facts, because we've been compiling facts and figures and things like that. We have, just us hanging out and chatting. I even have a thing set up for our patrons that I'm going to probably do weekly on Fridays, which is Lunch In with Misdirected Mark, where I'm going to open up a Zoom at 12:30 Eastern, and patrons are going to be able to just hop in and hang out with us and have lunch and just talk and, whatever. Anyway, there's a lot of other benefits for it. Bonus outtakes from the show, the after show from Misdirected Mark, goodies from Encoded Designs when we are in production and making things, all of those things. So please consider supporting us. It helps a great deal. Lastly, there's another way you can help support the show, because as always, if you listen to us, you will love us. And the way that works is we need people to listen to us. So go out and spread the word yourself. But the other thing we need you to do is to go to
Apple Podcasts or the podcatcher of your choice and leave us a rating or review. Every new review we get really does actually help new people find the show, which is pretty fantastic. So, yeah. Thank you so much to everybody who already left a review.
Yes, thank you, indeed. Say, Senda, how is transitioning your Game Boys to online going?
This show is a joint production of She's a Super Geek and Misdirected Mark Productions, the media arm of Encoded Designs.
Show me what you got, eh? Show me what you got. Show me what you got, eh? Show me what you got. Show me what you got, eh? Show me what you got. Show me what you got.
Bloopy.
Clicky. Whew.
Hey, friends. This is going to be slightly interesting to record because I'm getting over a cold, which is the reason we didn't record on Monday, because it felt horrible. But the problem with me getting over a cold...
Do you realize you're telling everybody this in the past?
I have to tell them this.
I know, but you're telling them this at the end of the episode.
I know.
We have to tell them this in the intro of the episode.
Okay, I'll tell them in the intro of the episode.
Hi, friend.
Oh, boy. Okay, we should start this show because, as we can tell, we're chasing the clock here on how long Senda will have a voice.
Rock and roll. Okay.
Rocking and rolling.
All right, ready?
Meow. Meow.
It's a pretty sad cat there.
Yep.
All right.
Should have heard the noises my cat made at me this morning when I tried to fix some of his mats. He got mats in his fur.
Yeah, I'm sure he's thrilled about you working from home.
He likes to sit in my face. Anyway, I'm sorry. Meow. Meow. Bloop.
Cue music.
Do 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 do. Bloop. So this is where I'm just going to say, I don't know if it's super kosher. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Never mind. I'm going to cut all of this out. Bloop.
Yes.
Sorry, I was waiting for you to finish. Do you need assets? Yes, I need assets. Do you need static assets? Yes, I need static assets. No. Can't wait to get it. You don't know the waffle song. Okay. I'm just going to move right along now. No?
Okay.
Do you like waffles? Yeah, I like waffles. Do you like French toast? Yeah, I like French toast. Do you like pancakes? Yeah, I like pancakes. Can't wait to get a mouthful.
Isn't your voice... Is this the best use for your voice for the rest of the episode?
They need outtakes. The people need outtakes, Phil. Okay.
Taking one for the team, I see.
Keep going.
Okay.
Bloop. Anyway, but so the last thing that we should talk about is probably safety, because that is something that changes a little bit when you move online.
I did have one more besides safety.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Can I do one less important than safety?
Yeah.
And then we'll do safety as the important one?
Okay, but then do it fast. I'm watching the time.
Roll for...
I wanna know...
your party.
Your X card. Why do I keep trying to sing?
All right, with that, normally we talk about another show on the Misdirected Mark Network.
I can talk about one, it's fine.
And Senda's going to do that.
Do you want to do that again real quick? Then we got to fly through this. Bloop. She's a super geek. Andy and I play different games with people. You would think I would remember my own blurb, but apparently I don't. Bloop. Well, Game Boys, it's the old black and white ones, so it's like too old to actually have the internet connectivity stuff for like doing little local networks, but we're doing our best.
Show me what you got. Show me what you got. Show me what you got.
So do you remember how we said this was going to be short?
Totally not short.
Oh my God. I am not looking forward to editing this in like a really compressed time frame.
Part 1, part 2.
No.
Sorry. But, things are slow at work, so you could
I might be editing during the day. That's super true.
Say goodbye.
Wow. Bye.
Bye.